Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Season 3.5 long range meta. I'm going to start by going through the MetaGen default output for quads for long range. So down here at 9.33 we have the SOA Subverter. This got a really big nerf to like long range damage in this patch, so that's why it's all the way down here when it used to be up near the top. Now 9.33 is not bad, but usually say like 9.5 and higher on MetaGen is really the most viable option here. You can see the Bruin is down here as well, 9.27. Really significant nerfs. Another thing to note about the SOA Subverter is that it has that really tiny chest hitbox. So if you miss that chest hitbox, which you're going to all the time, that TTK is going to go up. So it still looks really good in the first damage range out to like 30-40 meters. But I just think most of the time, you're not going to really be getting that time to kill because of the chest hitbox. And it's gotten a lot worse past like 30-40 meters. So I don't really think it's going to be in the meta anymore. STB556 has been slowly sneaking up these rankings each patch. It's in a not terrible spot. It has really small damage per mag with only a 42 round mag, but the fact that it can get a 9.46 with that 42 round mag means that it's really good in most of the other stats because, you know, damage per mag is pretty important for quads. So I do think the STB is getting pretty close to being a viable option. TAQ Eradicator at 9.58, we're starting to get into the ones that I think are pretty viable. This one is interesting because it has that higher fire rate for the first few bullets and then it slows down, so you really have to hit those first few shots in order to get a score like this, just because that means that the time to kill will be faster because the first few bullets are a faster fire rate and they slow down, so the TTK gets longer if you miss those first few shots. So I think that it is very good and it has very low recoil, but maybe a little worse than this score would actually represent. MTG556 is in a pretty good spot and has been for a while. It's not great, but it's just like, it's got a little S-shaped recoil pattern. And it's an AR, so it has better reload time, better movement, things like that. So not a bad option for like Rebirth and the smaller maps. Holger 556 as well, very similar to the MTZ 556. Slightly better score in MetaGen, but basically the same. Exactly the same things I said for the MTZ 556. It's an AR, so it's a little faster than some of these other options. It does only have a 40 round mag though, but like I was saying for the STB, because it has a 40 round mag and still scores this high, it's probably quite a bit better than the MTZ 556 in most other stats because it does take into account that low damage per mag. Holger 26 has been pretty good for a long time, 9.66. It's a little behind some of the other options here, but it's not a bad choice. TAQ Evolvere is 9.69. This is one that gets slept on a lot. It's been really good for a long time. When it first came out, it had literally no recoil. And then it got nerfed within just a few days. So I think a lot of people just kind of forgot about it when it got nerfed after those first few days. But it still has very low recoil, has competitive time to kill. It is an LMG, obviously, so it's heavy, and the reload time is going to be bad. And I think a lot of people just don't really like using LMGs in general because of those things. So if you're one of those people, not for you. But if you don't mind using LMG, you should definitely try out the TAQ Evolvere. I think it's a kind of a sleeper pick right now. BP50 9.69. This is probably the best, faster time to kill AR up close. So we're getting pretty close to the 10 out of 10 score. I believe this is in 4th place. Yeah, so BP50 is in 4th. Excellent gun. It has a little bit of that horizontal bounce as it goes up the recoil pattern, which makes it kind of rough to use past like 50 meters, unfortunately. But inside 50 meters, I think it's an excellent choice. Next up, SVA 545, 9.87. So this is right up near the top. This is on automatic fire, so as most of you know at this point, I covered originally the SVA burst mode having literally no recoil probably like 3 or 4 months ago. Finally catching on now. I think that's mostly because other weapons have gotten worse, not because the SVA has gotten better. But on burst mode, it has no recoil, so if somebody's really far away, you can toggle it to burst mode and use it like that. But anytime you're fighting inside like 50-60 meters, I'd probably have it on full auto, just for the consistency sake of being able to hold the trigger down. But yeah, 9.87, excellent weapon. You can get really high bullet velocity, which we now know is better than we thought it was because of that hit scan stuff that I covered a few videos ago. If you haven't watched that video, you should definitely go watch that video because it's crazy. And then in the Crimson number 2 spot, we have the Pulamiat 762. This is with the conversion kit. 9.93 out of 10. It's really just an excellent weapon, and it's kind of slept on at this point. I think people are just sick of it because it was the meta for so long. But it has huge damage per mag and awesome movement speed and things like that, which is weird for an LMG. But the bullpup kit makes it faster than most ARs in terms of movement and those kind of stats. So that's why it's up here all the way at the top. Huge damage per mag, really good movement stats, and pretty good time to kill at all ranges. And the recoil is pretty manageable as well. And then in first place, the DG58 LSW. This has been awesome for a while now, but finally with the nerfs, and then in this most recent patch, it got a nice buff. It has become the #1 choice here, and I really enjoy using this gun. I think it's a good meta. It's not like so accurate that you hit all your shots, but it is pretty accurate. Really high damage per mag because it's an LMG with a default 60 round mag. Because it has that default 60 round mag, that means you can use that attachment slot for something else. And I enjoy using this gun. I like this meta. I think this with the SVA, probably the two that I would use the most right now. The SVA just feels like it shoots marshmallows to me compared to like the DG58 or the Pouliot. BP50, like I said, has some of that issue with the horizontal bounce. But the DG58 just feels really good all around. Alright, I brought over the top weapons from MetaGen into the TTK chart. So looking at this, the first thing that stands out to me is whatever is white is very good. You can see white over here is the fastest up to 32, and then even at longer ranges, white is very good as well. So white is the BP50. Again, at longer ranges, it gets kind of bouncy, so it's a little hard to control, but I'm surprised the BP50 doesn't get more use. I think it's an excellent choice for both small map and big map. It just has really good numbers everywhere, and it's pretty fast. It's an AR. It has good reload time, good movement speed. Small damage per mag is the one problem, but the rest of the stats kind of make up for that mostly. You can also see purple here. This is the SVA 545. Very fast in the first range, then pretty slow out at longer ranges on full auto mode. But something to keep in mind is that is including the hyperburst at the start of the automatic fire. So that makes it appear a little faster than it really actually is. But it's still a great choice. I mean, it's super easy to use. DG58 LSW, the #1 choice. The line's kind of hard to see here, but it's kind of in the middle in the first range, and then it is tied with the BP50 in the last range as the fastest. And that's why I think it's really good, is because anywhere past about 45 meters, it's going to be faster than everything, and the recoil is very easy to control, huge damage per mag. It's just a pretty good gun all around. TAQ Evolvere in yellow here. You can see that first damage range, it has pretty good time to kill at 750, kind of sits in the middle of the pack for the first range, but it extends all the way out to 53 meters. This is with the MetaGen build, so it's going to have a little more damage range. I think most of your engagements are going to happen inside 53 meters, so in most cases you're going to be getting this really good time to kill, and it does have about 10 extra meters of range compared to most of these other options there, so that's a really important gap from 40 to 50 meters. I think that the TAQ Evolvere is just a very slept-on weapon right now. TAQ Eradicator is also very good, so in the first range it's a little faster than the TAQ Evolvere. It's the red line there, and then in the last range it's a little slower, but it does have really good bullet velocity, so it's going to have really nice hit scan range. And then also, something I want to note about the TAQ Eradicator, you can see I have it selected right here on TGD. We're going to go to the shots to kill tool. So in the first damage range, it takes one headshot to reduce that time to kill. Now it does exactly 300 damage with one headshot and the rest chest shots. So it might be kind of rare, but it does have that hitbox that is very forgiving. So the whole upper body is the same. So if you hit all shots on here and one headshot in that first damage range, it's going to be much faster time to kill, which is really nice. 686 in the first range. Again, like I said, you can't miss any of those first few shots in order to get that number, because those first few shots shoot a little bit faster, so the TTK gets worse if you miss them compared to what is shown on the charts. Pouliot just doesn't look great in general, but like I said, it has really good like movement and ADS time and things like that, surprisingly, despite being an LMG, and it has, a 100 round mag. So all those things combined, because the TTK is not great, it doesn't get like the first place spot, but it's just a consistently easy to use, fast movement, fast ADS weapon with huge damage per mag. In general, I don't think the MTZ 556 and Holger 556 really stack up in most ways. Like, they're okay, but I just feel like they don't really stack up super well against these other LMG options. The Holger 556 is pretty good. You can see it has a very fast time to kill out to 41 meters, but they both have this like S-shaped recoil that's just not super easy to hit your shots with. So I don't know, to me they don't really stack up that well, especially with the BP50 being so easy to use, and just having even better statistics for ADS and movement and things like that. The top ones to me, TAQ Eradicator is very good, TAQ Evolvere is very good, BP50, SVA, both very good. And then DG58 LSW. I do think the Holger 26 is pretty good. It's very similar to the DG58 LSW. You should probably just go in the firing range and see which one of those two you're more accurate with, which one feels easier to control for you, and then use that one because they're super similar stats-wise. But yeah, overall, that's kind of what I feel about the meta. All right, I'm going to go through this and give you guys the best builds quickly in this video rather than one attachment at a time. So this is the TAQ Eradicator. We've got the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, the Conquer 70 Long Barrel, Bruin Heavy Support Grip, FSS Combat Grip, and TAQ Vert Core Stock. I felt like this gun a lot. I think the weapon design is in a really good spot right now overall, because when I was building most of these out, it felt like I needed one more attachment to really make them what I wanted them to be. So that I think that means that it's in a good spot because you're trying to balance your attachments in the right way for each individual weapon. So with this one, I felt like it really needed that last attachment. So we're going to use iron sights, and it has really good iron sights. But you're going to see here, very, very low visual recoil and low actual recoil. Yeah, just in general, very, very easy to use, very accurate. And like I said, it has a really fast time to kill in the first range if you hit just one headshot. Next up, the Holger 556. Similarly here, I felt like it needed an extra attachment really to make it super accurate. So we're going to do VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, the Trios 6 Match Barrel, the Bruin Heavy Support Grip, 40 round mag, and the RB Adel Assault Stock. So if we take this into the firing range, it has pretty good iron sights as well. Not probably quite as good as the TAQ Eradicator, but not terrible. And this is really, really accurate. It has good time to kill in the first range. I think this would be a pretty competitive weapon. I just think that some of the other ones, specifically like the BP50, really kind of outshine this thing a little bit in most cases. Speaking of the BP50, this is how I'm building it currently for, you know, longer range engagements. And it's good on small map as well, but there's a couple changes. I would maybe swap the Bruin Heavy Support to like this SL Skeletal Vertical Grip for Rebirth, just because, you know, the difference in ADS time is like 40 milliseconds here, which is pretty significant in a lot of those engagements on Rebirth or any Resurgence modes. So something to consider there. And obviously we have the Sonic Suppressor. This gun feels like it has no recoil to me, just no visual, no actual recoil, super easy to control. So I don't really care about this 4% extra recoil. I have a little bit better bullet velocity than the VT7 with the Sonic Suppressor. Same damage range changes, but just dramatically better ADS time. So it's 54 milliseconds faster ADS time with the Sonic Suppressor, which I think is worth it for the trade-off there. We get the Moat 40 stock, just helps with recoil and ADS movement speed. So this gun is amazing mobility, small mag, small damage per mag, but it's hard to beat in a lot of cases in my opinion. And you'll see here, it has just like very little visual recoil, very little actual recoil. It just feels amazing to me. I'm surprised this gun doesn't get more love in the community than where it is now. And looking at the stats on TGD for the TTK simulation, you guys are super accurate with this gun as well, which makes sense because it's just really easy to use. So I don't know. I think it's really good. I think it's underused. Another weapon that I think is very underused is the TAQ Evolvere. So this is the build that I came up with. I tried all the attachments, really tried to, you know, balance these things out the right way. So we get the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, LFR Righteous Long Barrel, the Kilonova Stock, XRK Response Grip, and then the Choreo Eagle's Eye 2.5X. I think this gun is awesome right now. So this probably looks like a weird choice, this Kilonova Stock, but this gun has really low recoil to start with, and it really feels like the Kilonova Stocks helps with the visual recoil. So you can see it helps with firing, aim, stability, and we don't have the option of using the Bruin Heavy Support on this gun. It's not an available attachment for it. So aiming idle sway and firing aim stability. And sometimes the attachments that say they help with firing aim stability don't seem to really help with this, but this one really does. So there's other options in here. The Bombardier, minus 10%, minus 14% for actual recoil. Rampart Heavy also does actual recoil help, but to me, the Kilonova Stock felt quite a bit better than both those options on this weapon. More recoil control on the rear grip, and then a nice optic. And it has really bouncy recoil without that Kilonova Stock, so that's why I think that it's worth using. And it's just, it has so little recoil, and with that stock, the visual recoil is pretty low. It's not super low. It's not like the BP50, but I do think this is a very slept-on weapon right now. Then last up, the full auto SVA 545, Spirit Fire Suppressor, Precision Barrel, 60 round mag, Citadel grip, and jacked glassless optic. Again, I went through and tried all the different stocks, underbarrels, rear grips, tried to find one that felt the best, and to me this felt by a decent amount. This felt like the best combo of attachments for this weapon. The Jack Glassless really gets that visual down, and it has a lot of recoil. It feels worse than I thought it did as far as recoil, but it's not, obviously it's not unusable, and after the first few shots the recoil calms down a lot, so that helps with those longer range engagements. So I do think it's a very meta option. I think pretty much all the weapons I've covered in this video are neck and neck for being the best right now. Last up, DG58 LSW. This is pretty much what I played quite a bit yesterday, and this is pretty much what I ran all day. So we've got the Spirit Fire Suppressor, Woody Long Barrel, Jack Glassless Optic, Recoil Reduction Butt Plate, and then the Varanus Steady Grip for the rear grip. I felt like a lot of people are running this with iron sights. I think the iron sights are really bad on this weapon, so I don't do that at all. The Bruin Heavy Support just adds too much vertical recoil. Like, it's, now that they've nerfed it to 8% horizontal and it's still +4 vertical, I just feel like this rear grip is a better choice. Got -10% gun kick and 7% horizontal and vertical, so it helps about the same with horizontal and even more with gun kick and vertical recoil by a significant amount. And then the recoil reduction plate, this has significant recoil help across the board. I do think this is kind of a hard to beat weapon, especially for big map right now, but all the ones I've listed here are extremely good. I really like the DG58 right now. I think it's on top by a little bit. All right, everyone, that is it for the video. So yesterday, May 6th, was actually TGD's 4th anniversary. We launched the original COD Gun Data website on May 6th of 2020. So I just wanted to take a second to directly thank you all for all the support you've given us, whether you just watch the videos, like the videos, comment on the videos, or if you're a direct subscriber, you've supported us on our streams over on Twitch. We just appreciate every one of you for all the support over the last 4 years. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope these builds help you win more games, and I'll see you in the next one.